Hello and welcome everyone, I am Maddles and this is another StarCraft 2 England cast. Now today I have got a ladder game. It is between Snute, the red Zerg player in the top right position, and QuanticApoc, who is the blue Terran in the lower left. That means we do have in store for us a Terran v Zerg, and I am super excited about that. I think it is my favourite matchup. TvZ. I think it's just really good, it's really cool, it's got some interesting stuff, and if nothing else, Terran players complain about the late game, which, if you've been around for ages, you'll know that once upon a time, all Terrans did was make Hellions, and then every Zerg died. Of course I am joking, but this is going to be a really quality game. I'm really excited about it because Snute is a great player, so is Apoc, and this should be super fun. Now we do have the supply depot coming down, so we're not going to see anything too crazy because it is in a wall off position. Usually if you're going to see something like a command center first, you tend to actually get the supply depot down near the starting command center, purely because why do you send an SCV all the way over there and waste time? Now this leaves openings such as the 1 Rax command center, which I personally feel is the best opening Terrans can have against Zerg, and I'll explain a little more about that in a minute. Meanwhile, Snute is going to have a good time. Going to pretty much get a 15 hatch into a 16 pool, get 1 gas up, probably get Zergling speed quite early, follow it up with some Banelings, then start thinking about shall I take my third, and really that's what he's going to go with. Now, the reason the 1 Rax command center, which I'm almost certain we're going to see this game, is so good, is because basically you know the Zerg is going to be going for that hatch at 15 to stay a base above you. Now, by getting the barracks down, you're safe from early aggression. You can get that wall off if you need it. You can get well, some Marines out, which are very good, obviously, in early defense. But by getting a command center straight away, it really puts pressure on the Zerg because you're then on equal bases with them, and that's not something Zergs like against Terrans. So the Zerg player then either has to try and take a third base relatively early to catch up economically, or they have to do some kind of 2 base play, which again isn't too good against Terran for the reasons I previously said, that obviously by getting that barracks out early, you've got some good defense, you've got some units on the field already. As you can see, we've got the 1 Rax command center coming down. Now, the follow-up to this is quite usually getting a double gas relatively soon after. You will then get a factory, get a reactor on the barracks, and go for reactor Hellions. And the reason for that is basically the Hellions are no longer about dealing maximum damage. They are all about gaining map dominance, preventing the Zerg from scouting or getting any map control. And that is really where this third base becomes difficult to hold if the Zerg does want to get economically ahead, because especially on a map like Cloud Valley, Cloud Kingdom, god, I'm getting it all wrong. On a map like Cloud Kingdom, basically you've got this area here where units can come in, you've got the area at the back where units can come in, and basically it's very awkward defending it alone. And then when you factor in the fact that the natural base is quite a long way away with its own entrance into it, it becomes exceptionally hard to stop things like Hellions. And as you can see here, we've got a drone already moving across, so perhaps Snute going straight away for that third hatchery. He's got enough money for it, and there we go. So that is, well, 4 minutes 40. That is not much later than, well, not much earlier than you'd actually see in a ZVP. So very interesting metagame shift, and Apoc actually loving the command centers. That is pretty much as economical as you can go. That command center was out before the barracks, so it was a 1 Rax command center. So that is really as economical as you could possibly hope to be. Handful of Marines, great bunker placement here. Now, this third command center probably won't float down here for quite a while. I'd imagine the most likely thing is that it'll be morphed into an orbital command and be used purely to pump SCVs, because it'd be a bit risky trying to take that down. I mean, this is a great defensive position at the moment because that bunker, so difficult to take down. Even with things like roaches, their attack arc isn't going to be too good. Obviously with Marines there, Zerglings can't surround it, it'd be tough. So I think this is a great play by Apoc right now. Now the third base is 3/4 done already, the natural up happily. What is the work account looking like? Well, obviously the Zerg player's ahead, but when you factor in mules, the 2 orbital commands already down are equivalent to about 10 SCVs. So that puts them very level in terms of their income right now. This third hatchery will obviously help considerably. The only thing Snute hasn't done yet, which I'd love to see actually, is get a queen out purely for creep spread. He is purely on those 3 queens, 1 per hatchery, which means they're all injecting. Therefore the bases aren't joined, which is the primary thing I like to see, but also you don't have that good map control in the mid game, and that's something the creep really allows you to do. If you've got 2 queens out spreading creep, and doing nothing else than that, you can have creep, even on a map like Cloud Kingdom, all the way across here, and completely cover half of the map in creep, know exactly where your enemy's moving, when their pushes are coming, what their pushes are composed of, and allows you that speed advantage to get good surrounds and that good Baneling Zergling engagements. So definitely creep spread, I think, is a really important thing, and we do actually now have 2 more queens in production for Snoot, so hopefully we will see that. That Overlord is going to sacrifice itself there, does get some useful information, sees there is a lot of barracks down, but not much else, and obviously did scout out Keeley. That, actually, no, it didn't. Wow, the Overlord didn't actually catch that orbital command. So Snoop probably now going to start worrying about a big infantry push. And as you can see, that's already occurring. He's getting that Baneling nest down. He's getting an awful lot of Zerglings out. So Snoop clearly a bit worried. But if this does turn into a counterattack, well, a big flood of Zerglings could be difficult, especially if this wall off doesn't complete. But I believe with those 2 additional, I don't think there is a gap there for Zerglings to go through. Although I wouldn't like to put money on it, because that does look like it could be a tiny little gap. So we'll wait and see if not that can get through. The 3rd orbit command is going down there for Apoc. Now the Baneling nest nearly finished up for Snoot, but still the creep spread, it's going quite nicely. We've got more queens out. The creep spread should really start gearing up. A macro hatch coming down as well. That's a good choice. It will just allow you to really pump out those units. A lot of Zerglings moving across the map now. And also 20 more in production, so these watchtowers have been held consistently through Snoot. He's probably a bit thrown off by the lack of the Hellions. If he hadn't scouted in here, he probably would have been a bit confused, but Apoc is definitely going for some kind of big timing push right now. Yes, the factory is on its way down, but he's just getting so much infantry. If he doesn't, I really think he should start using it. And I really do suspect that this stim and +1 Terran weapons are going to be utilised at some point. But 28 Banelings morphing in, and this could be really difficult for Apoc to deal with, because he's got 1 Marauder. Those Marines are going to get absolutely melted by that many Banelings. Snoop really got a lot of potential firepower here. He's running in with a lot more Zerglings behind this, and well, here we go. We've got a big push. Those Marines are going to have to spread like absolute mad. The Banelings, though, just look at how many there are right now. But the Marine spreading absolutely fantastic at the moment, but all of these SCVs are probably going to get taken down. Huge damage being done here right now by Snoop, and he's doing exactly the damage that he needs to achieve. Now, that wall off getting taken down, we've got more Banelings running in. The SCVs are trying to get away as quickly as they can, but for the moment this is doing great damage. A lot of SCVs getting caught there, but unfortunately the Baneling did detonate on the gas guys as opposed to any of the SCVs, but still, streams and streams of Zerglings coming in. A lift forced to the 3rd. That supply depot will probably go down at some point, if nothing else by the fire, unless an SCV rapidly goes and repairs. We've got more Banelings morphing in. I can hear them everywhere, and well, that is not good news at all. 13 workers have been killed. In terms of the loss tab, it was more cost effective technically for Apoc from defending that than Snoot's push, but well, with Banelings morphing in everywhere, this could be fun. The 3rd base probably not going to be the main target, but the Zerglings are coming on to get us around. A tank is out, but siege mode isn't done. And well, here come the Banelings. This is relentless pressure out of Snoot, of course, is still just pumping loads and loads of Zerglings and nothing but. And well, this is doing damage absolutely everywhere. The bunker has been taken down, but 2 more are up. So they really need to be utilised effectively. At the moment, most of this push getting cleaned up. 15 workers killed, and Snoot is still ahead in terms of the worker count, but he needs to decide very quickly what he's going to do. If he continues with this pressure, I'm not sure it would be the best thing, because Apoc has held it, basically. He took some damage. The 3rd base has been forced to lift, but he didn't lose that. We now have the medevacs coming out as well, and specifically those medevacs are going to allow the Marines to engage a lot more cost effectively, but still Snoot just relentless pressure right now, and the SCVs not getting pulled to come and repair the bunkers in time means they are going to fall, and that is a big loss there for the Terran player. And well, repairs are going off, and well, this is where the money is, because obviously that means those Marines stay alive, a lot of Zerglings get taken down, and this is really becoming cost ineffective for Snoot right now. He needs to start thinking about his strategy. He is still ahead in the worker count, but not by a huge amount. And well, a solution to that problem is just get an awful lot of Banelings. And it's also a good way to spend all of your money, coincidentally, getting 38 Banelings at a time. An awful lot of Zerglings are still in production. A 4th base coming out here for Snoot, and remember, he has denied this 3rd base for quite a long time, and there's just no idea this is coming, and wow, this is just so many Banelings, but the tank is there. The tank is going to be able to shell for so long, but there's just so many Banelings that Snoot can actually afford to lose so many, and the Banelings getting straight into the middle line. Such huge damage. That was the best hit so far. And well, these Banelings, they are going straight for the mains mineral line, but of course it takes 2 Banelings to kill any workers, not just 1, so always go in 2x2s, and it is just a great way to go. But that has really affirmed Snoot into a dominating position in this matchup so far, purely because he just has so many more workers. He's over double the worker supply of his opponent, and that means that his income, even with mules, is going to be so much higher than the Terran. Now, obviously, the downside to having the tank here is that the Zerglings, while they get shelled, the shelling damage also deals splash to all of these SCVs, and this is just absolutely devastating for Apoc right now, who is just losing more and more units. Those Zerglings absolutely going to town. The Zerglings don't have any upgrades. Marines are a 1-1, so they do engage quite well, especially with the medevacs there as well. Zerglings in small numbers won't engage well against Marines, ever. Even Zerglings in large numbers don't engage too well. We do have a drop coming down at the natural base right now, but that is getting cleaned up very, very easily indeed. And of course, the Queen is already starting to engage. There's 2 Queens up in the main base. The 4th base is down. It's getting dropped at the moment, but of course, this kind of drop play is essential. It's the only real way that Apoc can come back to this right now. But he loses one of the drop ships already. The other one is taking some damage, and as you can see here, 74 workers to 21. To be honest, Snoot is in a very dominating spot. He does have his lair up, but in terms of tech, I don't actually think he has that much. No, he literally just has his spawning pool in terms of actual tech, and really that's not, and the Baning Nest obviously, but I don't think that's enough. He needs to start thinking about getting the infestation pit down to transition into the mid game. Going for a spy, that's a good move as well, because ultimately his opponent is really hurt. Mass Muter could be really, really powerful, and Snoot does have an awful lot of gas in order to use that. Now we do have the Marines still dropping down, target firing the medevac to prevent the escape, and well, that is going to be hugely annoying. The Spinecrawler there is able to engage. We do have the 2 Queens getting involved, but no transfuse goes down, and that is a big mistake out. You can't afford to lose units for free no matter how far ahead you are. Great attack in a choke right there for Apoc, using the map to his advantage, because if you think Zerglings need maximum surface area, so if you can minimize that by basically flanking walls, as you can see Apoc doing here, it is just all so good. And this actual drop is doing an awful lot of damage. The 2 medevacs are allowing a very, very cost-effective engagement for the moment. And well, the Marines, they're probably going to get taken out pretty soon, because a lot of Zerglings have just popped. But again, some damage being done here. Admittedly, Snoot's killed 42 workers to the 8, but still, those Marines, they could be doing a lot less. So really good work by Apoc right now, who is still well, he's about half the worker supply now, so he's slowly catching up. And obviously, with those magical things called mules, he's not crazy behind, just quite a lot behind. But this Zergling run by could really be the nail in the coffin, in my opinion. Just so much damage being done absolutely everywhere, and well, the mules, they're getting taken out. That alone is just a huge loss. A counter push coming in here though by Apoc, but these Zerglings are not being dealt with in any way. Not even a lift going off on that orbital command right now. And well, it is on fire, so therefore needs to be repaired, otherwise it will eventually die. A lot of drones getting taken out here by the Marines moving forward. There are the 3 tanks there as well, and it looks like Snoot is not comfortable trying to push through that wall off, and is instead going to come back to try, and I mean try and defend, because Zerglings alone against tank Marine medevac are not going to be too great, especially with no banelings on the field at all at the moment. There are actually some banelings, and they're coming in very, very potent. I didn't see them morphing, and well, that is just really decimated quite a lot of stuff, but a lot of Marines still stayed up, all of the tanks still stayed up, and suddenly Snoot is looking like he's going to start struggling. And obviously, even the medevacs, just 2 medevacs there, the tanks giving a bit of fire support can be incredibly potent, and the Queens alone are not going to go too well. Some good transfuses attempting to go off here by Snoot. But well, this push is just getting more and more potent. We do have some Zerglings running in to take out the tanks. That will help Snoot massively, because the tanks really are the long range support that you don't want to be having to deal with. A medevac coming in to drop a couple more units, but Zerglings already there for Snoot. And behind all this, Snoot has actually lost an awful lot of workers, and is actually starting to level out in terms of the economy, and that's not something that I feel he can afford to do, because he was so far ahead. So Snoot kind of shot himself in the foot by not teching sooner. But we do have the first tech on its way out now, obviously an awful lot of mutalists, but how effective will they be when there's so many Marines on the field? Well, that is the big question that I would be asking as Snoot, that he's seen so many Marines anyway. In the entire play Snoot has to go for now is harassment. He needs to poke and prod, but there's a missile turret up, there's nothing in the main, but also the main is pretty much mined out. So aside from picking up add-ons, there's not going to be too much that can be done there. We do need to see some more banelings morphing, literally as I said, to deal with this mass Marine. That's how you deal with this. Tank Marine is dealt with Zergling baneling. And Infestors do help, because the fungal growth locks down the Marine, because Apoc all through this match has been doing very good splitting with his Marines themselves. And of course, Baning speed hasn't even been done yet, and To be honest, that would, in this very Baneling heavy style, would help an awful lot. The tanks are shelling and the Banelings are dying now. Where are all the Mutalisks? I do not quite know actually where they have all disappeared off to, but they are going to be somewhere. They are just poking around in the fourth base, probably picking up a medevac or something like that. But again, these mutas need to be used very effectively. Once the Marines are kind of pulled forward, the mutas come in from behind and pick off the tanks. That is where tank Zergling Baneling Mutalist really comes into its own, but it takes a lot of control to use effectively. And Snood is not really doing as well as he might like to. He has lost an awful lot, nearly 10,000 more resources. But here come the Banelings right now. The tank isn't actually getting focused at the moment. Quite a few hits got off. The Marines just going to try and get taken out because, of course, if the Marines die, the Mutas can clean up everything else. Now, we do have the next push coming along for Apoc, who's deciding not to go for it. I think that's a good move. He's long-range mining as well. That is never fun. Was that third orbital command destroyed by the fire? It would appear so. So that is a big win for Snood, who is of course still on 3 bases with the macro hatch. He has lost his 4th. The creep spread going okay, kind of been a second priority, one might suggest, but obviously these mutas they're coming across, there's an awful lot of SCVs there undefended, but likewise, Apoc, just with the counter-attack, could get into almost a base race situation. Or just look at how many SCVs are getting taken down by these Mutalisks right now. But the push still relentless up here. We do have quite a few Zerglings. Zergling Baneling speed only just on its way in now, so the Zergling Baneling push could do more, but the tank spread really nice. It allows the tanks to engage the Banelings effectively. No upgrades at all at the moment. Oh, there is the +1 carapace done. Is there anything else researched? Trying to grab a single Zergling, which apparently is easier said than done. No, just the carapace upgrade. That obviously means the tanks then take 2 shots to kill things. The Mutalisks are just kind of poking and prodding around the centre of the map at the moment, but if we look at the working count, well, it's back down. It is still in Snood's favour, but the 3rd base has now been completely taken out by Apoc. So Snood down to 2 mining bases, the same as his opponent. He is trying to re-expand the 3rd in the south position, but this Marine push is just relentless, and Snood, again, he is just missing tech. Why he hasn't got Infestors yet, I do not know. He was so far ahead, he could have afforded to, and I think Infestors may have been a better choice for him to really lock down the Marines and allow the Banelings to engage effectively. The Mutalist being used effectively at last, though, and these Marines all have very low health, so can get cleaned up now. Of course, the problem still remains that it is now effectively 1 mining base for Snood, who's mined out at his main, compared to, well, 1 and a bit mining bases for Apoc, and that means that even if you have a huge worker advantage, they may not be mining efficiently. And as you can see here, Apoc actually with a much higher mineral income than his opponent. Now, these Mutalisks are trying to engage, they are trying to pick off anything and everything they can, engaging the Marines head on. There's no upgrade for those Mutalisks, but more Marines do come in to defend, and well, once those mutas start engaging big balls of Marines with stim, things don't go too well. So this game is really turning out to be quite crazy, quite exciting. That missile turret dealing massive damage to a lot of the mutas trying to retreat, and this is losses that Snood can't afford to do. He's now lost, well, 10,000 more resources compared to his opponent. Does finally have that infestation bit, but no pathogen glands getting researched. He is double expanding. He's got his new 3rd base up, expanding to his natural 3rd, and well, it's just not looking good for Snood right now. He can't seem to put the nail in the coffin. He can't seem to end this game. This is something that you see a lot of players forget to do, that winning a game early on isn't a bad thing. It means that you've won it and you've really got it in the bag. And Snood, if we were to go back to when that big Zergling Baneling pushes were hitting, we would have said he'd won it easily. At one point it was 20 to 70 workers. Snood has somehow not come through to that. He may have rested a bit too much. He didn't tech. That was the big problem I saw, is he didn't tech with that income. And as a result, we can see here with a very basic army composition of essentially Marine Medevac is doing huge damage. He's really picked off that 3rd base. This new base is looking vulnerable. I mean, it's incredibly oversaturated anyway. The gas hasn't been taken. Snood not in a position which he'd like to be, but there has been big counter pushes down here, and well, this big counter push is going to be the big problem, because ultimately it's, well, 8 workers to 44 now, and that essentially means that Snood would have to do something mad. All Snood needs to do now is pick this off. If he can destroy the army on the field right now, he'll be in an okay spot, because his opponent just can't afford to build anything else. If we look at the income, even with mules, it's a 1/4 of what his opponent is doing right now, so that is not too fun. And well, big damage is going to get done. The Zergling's running into the main. There's literally nothing here right now, and that means, and if nothing else, a lot of add-ons will get taken off. But Apoc choosing to move across the map with the units he does have remaining, sending just a small force back trying to defend. But these Zerglings are going to absolutely wreak havoc in the time it takes to do that. And of course, a lot of production facilities going down, which doesn't matter hugely. A big baiting hit goes off, deals some quite good damage. A fungal growth gets a lot more marines there as well. These infestors need to be used cost effectively. Another good fungal growth. But these Zerglings, the 28 Zerglings in production now, should be able to clean up this very, very small number of Marines. And that is precisely what Snute needs to do and should win in the game. Everything else getting cleaned up. The Zerglings all over everywhere. All of the production facilities slowly dying. Yadon slowly dying as well. A handful of Marines are still there to defend. But for the moment, we do see the Mutas cleaning up all of the medevacs. We do see the Infestors coming in. We see a third and fourth base on its way. And, well, Apoc just isn't going to be able to catch up from here. At 7 workers to 40, once you're down to that number, you just cannot keep up. Great use of Burrow by Snute as well. Just allowing those Zerglings to keep coming back and forth. The Mutas are going to come and try and pick off some units here, I almost guarantee, if Snute is paying attention, of course. But for the moment, this is all going absolutely beautifully. Supply depots getting targeted, maybe not the best thing. There could be other things you could do, but for the moment, a lot of SCVs dying, a mule dying as well there. 11 to 40. We could see some more gas get taken by Snute. Currently, he is not mining any gas. That is not something you want to be doing, Snute. You need that gas. But to be fair, Snute, he's getting 32 gas, 16. Where is that even coming from? He is completely mined out everywhere, so I'm a bit confused. There we go. So neither player's mining gas at the 30-minute mark, which is a bit confusing. But again, it looks like Snute is yet again struggling to end this. This Infestor play could be good, dropping a whole load of Infested Terrans down, just trying to get a pick off on this base. Could actually just transition straight to the third, where there are a lot more workers, and if a majority of those workers are taken out, I really don't think Apoc can come back, because just look at how much stuff is here. We should see these Infestors drop some Infested turns at both bases simultaneously. Chain Fungling also works. 2 fungal growth does kill workers. A couple of Infested turns get locked down as well. And well, here we go at the 4th base of Apoc. A lot of Zerglings running in. The Marine spread is good, but of course they do have the upgrade advantage, which is helpful. The Infestors get cleaned up, but yet again, 8 to 40 workers. And there just isn't the income. Snute has an awful lot of minerals. And to be honest, I'm surprised that Snute just isn't flooding Zerglings. And literally as I say that, he makes 34 of them. So that is the correct response. And now, well, 6 workers. This game is now over. Snute cannot lose it. He'd have to do something absolutely insane. He can just flood with Zerglings from all of his hatcheries. His injects have kind of gone to pieces. He doesn't seem to be injecting anywhere at all. He doesn't even have that many queens. I think it is just the 1. So Snute could do that a bit better. The thing I would take away from this game, anyone watching, is just because you've got stupidly far ahead, don't think it's in the bag. You still have to play properly, and Snute did come to a point where he very nearly did lose this game. I don't think he can lose it now, but there was a point where he nearly lost it because he didn't tech correctly. He kind of rested, he droned up a lot, but if you don't have the tech, then you're just not going to be able to deal with it. Now, we do have some more SCVs getting picked off. We do have a lot more Marines there. Some Banelings desperately needed, but of course, Snute isn't really mining much gas, if any at all, and hasn't been for an awfully long time. So many Zerglings, but shelling from the tank is just forcing everything back. The GG there from Apoc, who realises that there's no way he's coming back from that. So, guys, that was a bit of an interesting game, and I really like casting that because it just showed how you can't slack. You have to play your best at all times, otherwise you can risk losing a game you'd effectively won. So I hope you did enjoy the cast. If you did, please subscribe, because I get new games up every single day. Leave a cool comment below about the game, the cast, the players, anything at all, and obviously give the video a like. That'd be awesome. But most importantly, if you do want to watch some more of my casts, flick over to my channel, or if you are completely up to date and have watched them all, then I will see you tomorrow for my next game. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I am Maddles, and this was an SC2 England cast. Bye for now.